Hey guys, welcome back to another plan with me. This week I'm planning from May 26th to June 1st, and I'm using this SPC kit. I couldn't tell you what it's called, but it was part of her last chance situation, so I don't think you could get it unless you found it on a buy, trade, sell. Maybe you can read the name of the kit off of the first sticker page, but I can't, so I apologize. But I decided to use this kit for this week because originally I wanted to use a Pride kit, and I had purchased printable art that I really wanted to use. I think it was Clip Art Kit's artwork. It was like that fairy picnic Pride, much less like bright preschool colors and more pastels, which is what I prefer for Pride. And I wanted to use it this week because Sunday is the Pride Parade, or was the Pride Parade in Philadelphia. But I didn't go this year, so, whatever. However, this kit has this beautiful pastel rainbow washi and date covers. So I used that, and best of both worlds, because it did rain a shit ton this week, and I still have a little bit of my rainbow situation going on for Pride. I also forgot to mark Pride on Sunday, but oh well, I think it's just because I didn't go, so I just completely forgot to pull it or mark it or whatever. But I think I might have lied to you guys in one of my previous Plan With Me's. I said that was like the last week of me being really depressed. I think it was actually this week, if I'm remembering correctly, because I was still not feeling amazing. I think this is the week where my little depression session sort of ended, and now I'm just anxious and reacting normally to life. So am I super fucking happy? No, but that's because life super fucking sucks. But I'm not just miserable every fucking second of every day on the verge of tears for no reason. So I'll take that as a win. Anyway, things that happened this week, I feel like nothing. Because again, I decided to give myself a break because I was down. Oh, one thing did happen. So Monday was a paid holiday, and we just spent it fixing my brakes. Good news, bad news. Good news is the brakes didn't need to be replaced. Bad news is the return window for the parts that I bought was the 25th, and we realized I didn't need them on the 26th. My own fault, and I'm going to keep them for a while. If I end up needing them, great, I already have them. If I don't need them, I will ask Joe to sell them for me on Facebook Marketplace or whatever and just make my money back. So it's not the end of the world. It just would have been nice to just get them out of his basement and not have had to pay like $150 for shit that I didn't need. My brakes sounded really, really bad, so we thought we were going to need to change them, but yeah, he just cleaned them and they're fine. And then also that evening, this was kind of scary, kind of stressful. I think I got pretty lucky with my timing. I was driving home, and I drove past this big, I think it's like technically part of Fairmount Park. And there were hundreds, if not 1,000 plus people all over the place in the streets, everywhere. There were ambulances, cop cars. I could not get through. It was like driving my car through zombies. Like, everybody was moving so slow. Nobody was getting out of the way. I was really freaked out. I'm assuming it's a shooting, right? And clearly there were people out having a gathering for the holiday. It was at like 10 o'clock at night or something like that. I don't remember. It was late. So these people probably should have gone home by now. But anyway, there was like 1,000 people. And again, like I said, cop cars, ambulances. I saw somebody on a stretcher. Turns out I drove right past the park like 5 minutes after a drive-by shooting. I think 3 people died, something like that. I guess it must have been pretty scary because later on, Joe and I were watching Adolescence in bed, and he was like looking at his phone, getting like his route ready for work the next day, and he saw on Google Maps that the park had, like, Google Maps had shooting on the map. I've never seen that on Google Maps before. I guess it was like to let you know, maybe reroute, don't go that way. So yeah, that happened. And I think other than that, nothing happened. I did go out with a friend of mine and her boyfriend on Saturday, and it was really fun. Her boyfriend's name is Joe. Funny. My Joe was supposed to come, but he ended up working an event. And so it was just 3 of us, which I was totally fine with. I'm really comfortable with him. I don't feel like a third wheel at all. So that was really nice. And I think that's basically it. So I'm just going to get into the day by day because I kind of want to get this over with because I'm leaving the country in 2 days and I am not prepared. So I actually thought that I had done this voiceover already. I think I said that, but like whatever. I want to get this video up before I leave. So here we go. Monday, the first thing I marked with this, this is Once More With Love. Okay, with this munchkin from Once More With Love was that I had a paid holiday. With this Prairie Planner wheel bearing sticker, I marked that Joe fixed my brakes. Then with this emoji eating pizza, I marked that we got Pizza Hut for dinner. With these munchkins sitting with some popcorn, I marked that we watched Adolescence. Then with this rabbit hole handcraft sticker, I marked that I drove right by after the shooting. With this Once More With Love sticker, I marked that Joe came over. We had been at his place and I needed to be in office the next day, so I needed to sleep at my apartment, and he came over and slept at my place so that way we could finish Adolescence. Then with this flat lay from, I want to say Papershire, I marked that I just prepped for the in-office day, and then we technically watched Adolescence again, but I didn't mark it twice. Then moving on to Tuesday, the first thing I marked was that I was not happy to be back in office, and I used this sticker, I think, from Once More With Love. Then with these stickers from Piper Paper Company, these glasses from Piper Paper Company, I marked that I wore glasses to work, which I never do. That's how you know I was absolutely exhausted. With this Once More With Love munchkin FaceTiming, I didn't use it for FaceTiming. I used it to mark finally beating my level in, what game was I playing? I can't remember, but I play games on Swag Bucks. I'm sure I've mentioned that before. And I really wanted to beat this level because I think it gave me like $30 or something like that, or $15. I can't remember. It was like a decent chunk. Then with this leftover deco from an old kit, I marked that I went to FedEx. I had to ship something. Can't remember what. Then with this munchkin watching TV, I marked that I watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And then the final thing for Tuesday was that I read, and this is another Papershire sticker. Then moving on to Wednesday, the first thing I marked was that I was 10 minutes early to the office, which doesn't happen, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I wore makeup once this week. Like, I don't think I put any effort in whatsoever, so that's why I was able to get to the office early. And this clock is from Papershire, I think. Then with this old SPC scribbler nurse situation, maybe she's a doctor, I shouldn't assume, I marked that I went to go get my Tdap shot on my break. I needed to get it when I was at my physical, but I don't think the nurse got the memo. So after they drew my blood, she was like, all right, you're free to go. And because I am who I am as a person, I didn't want to mention anything about it. And also I already had to make up like an hour of work, and I didn't want to make up any more time. I genuinely didn't have time to make up any more time because I was driving to West Virginia that week. So anyway, point being, I didn't want to get the Tdap shot at my doctor's office because I'd have to pay a copay because I didn't get it done during my free physical. So rather than doing that, I went to CVS and got it for free. Then with this munchkin in the rain, I marked that I walked in the rain. With this sticker, this is from a freebie. I cannot remember the shop, but I marked that I read. Then with this rabbit hole handcraft laundry sticker, I marked that I washed and stored my big comforter. I didn't even do this last year, but now that I have that extra storage in the living room, I was able to do that. And I used one of those vacuum seal bags to shrink it, but it's just way too hot to have the comforter on my bed. So finally took care of that. Then with this squish from Fox and Cactus, I marked that I walked 10,000 steps and did a chest workout. With this Stick with the Plan Co. Lottie, I marked that I filmed a video. And then the last thing, of course, with this Fox and Cactus girl, I marked that I watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Then moving on to Thursday, the first thing I marked was I was 15 minutes early this day, and I used a munchkin carrying a backpack. with this Papershire bunny. I believe this was from a freebie. I marked that I went to Barnes & Noble on my break to pick up an order. I bought my friend, because it was her 30th birthday. We're not like big on exchanging gifts, but I just felt like since it was her 30th birthday, that's like a big deal. So it's not like I got her anything crazy. I got her a Stephen King book that she had told me she'd never read before. So I got her that, and it was just really nice to be in the Barnes & Noble. I love Barnes & Noble. Then with this emoji hanging out in an easy chair, I marked that I read. With this emoji on the phone, I marked that I called my grandmother. Then with this leftover laundry sticker, I marked that I did laundry. With this vacuum, also leftover from a kit, I marked that I vacuumed. With this printable treadmill, cannot remember the shop for the life of me, I'm sorry. I marked that I walked 11,000 steps. And then the final thing with this rabbit hole handcraft sticker was that I watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and pulled stickers. Moving on to Friday, the first thing I marked was I was just feeling really, really weak. Like, not just tired, but my whole body, I just felt weak. I felt weak. And I used this, I think this might be a tired munchkin or like a sad munchkin, I can't remember. Then with this couch potato emoji, I marked that I worked remote. With this squish on a treadmill, I marked that I just went on the walking pad, and I can't even remember how long I walked for. With this Stick with the Plan Co. Lottie, I marked that I had no idea how I got a bug bite. I got a bug bite on my foot, and I had been wearing socks and sneakers every day, so I guess it happened indoors, which freaks me out. Then with this munchkin reading, I marked that I read. With this emoji excited about a sandwich, I marked that I went to get cheesesteaks with Joe and his coworker. His other job, he like works events, and this one happened to be in Philly, but this guy flew in for the event from California. So Joe wanted to like take him to get a cheesesteak, and I tagged along, and it was really good. I'm blanking on the name. It's on South Street. It's not one of the famous ones. But yeah, anyway, I'm blanking on the name, but it was really good. And it's the first time I put hot sauce on a cheesesteak. I don't know why it's taken me that long, but it was delicious. Then with two Papershire stickers, this is from a museum sheet, and this is, I can't remember what sheet that's from, but I marked that we saw a giant fucking snake on South Street. It was huge, this huge yellow, I don't know what she was. I know she was a female because she had just given birth, and I think her babies had hatched that day, and they were like out on the street, I guess, promoting their snake selling business. But this thing was fucking massive. She was wrapped all around the dude. They were drunk too. They had a bottle of, I think, Hennessy in their little like snake carrier thing. But this snake's head was like 6 inches from me. It was really freaky, but it was really cool. And this is technically a dinosaur egg, but it works. And then the final thing on Friday with this TV from Papershire was that Joe and I watched the movie Oddity, and I really liked it. I had no idea that this movie existed. He found it, and it was just right up my alley. Everything about it. It was actually scary. I would say that this is a scary movie. Really enjoyable, very much. I recommend. If you like scary and weird, really liked it. Then moving on to Saturday, the first thing I marked was that I was in a shit mood again, and I used this Under Pressure squidge from Stick with the Plan Co. With this Prairie Planner sticker, I marked that I pulled. Then with another squidge from Stick with the Plan Co., I marked that I worked on my June budget. Spoiler alert, I said fuck it to the budget this month. I just have been so busy and doing so many things, and like it's just, yeah, no budget this month. Then with a Lottie from Stick with the Plan Co., I marked that I went to Putt Shack with my friend and her boyfriend. Then after that, with another Stick with the Plan Co. sticker, basically this whole day, Stick with the Plan Co., I marked that we went to Estia. I had never been there before. It's a Greek restaurant, and hands down, the best pasta I've ever had in my life. I want to go back for my birthday, because the only thing I want to do for my birthday is get that fucking pasta. It's an expensive place, which is why I wouldn't just go on like a random week, but I really want to go back. It was so fucking good. Then with this girl from, I'm not sure, my friend Ilza from Ilza's Melted Plans. She sent me these, and I can never remember the name of the shop. But anyway, I used that sticker to mark on my walk home. It started raining again. Then with this Prairie Planner TV, I marked that I watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And then after that, Joe was finally done with his event that he was working for this day anyway. So we watched the challenge. We started the challenge season 8 because we're rewatching all of the old challenge seasons, and I used a Once More with Love sticker for that. Then the final thing, Sunday, the first thing I marked was that I drove Joe to the final day of his event. I can't remember what it was called. The Roots Picnic? Lenny Kravitz played is all I know. But anyway, so I drove him there. It wasn't totally out of the way from my apartment, so it was fine. And me saying I drove him is a little much. He actually drove my car there, and then after he got out of the car, I drove home. I hate driving, so he drives most of the time. Then with this UGG face this was a freebie from the Coffee Monsters Co., I think from filling out the bean sheet. I marked that I got a shitty parking spot. Then I was just in my feelings, and I marked that I was pissed off. I don't know why. Again, I'm telling you, I think this was like the final week of me just being a piece of shit for no reason. Then with this really old Sweet Kawaii design grocery bag, I marked that I went to Aldi. With the Stick with the Plant Co. Lottie chopping vegetables, I marked that I just prepped all of my food for the week. I don't meal prep, that's like generous. I wash and cut my strawberries and stuff like that. Then with another couch potato emoji, I marked that I watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. With this printable sneaker, I marked that I walked on the walking pad. And then the final thing for Sunday was that I deep cleaned the cat area. And this cat is from Once More with Love, I think. But yeah, that's everything for this week, and I hope this really is the last week where I was just miserable. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a plan with me next week because I'm going to be away. My plan was to film a talk through tonight and schedule it to go up next week. Tonight is, what the hell is today? June 30th. It's the last day of June. I just don't know if I'm going to have time because I need to pack and stuff. So we'll see, but hopefully I can manage that and then edit it tomorrow and schedule it. But anyway, if not, yeah, no video next week, but hopefully there will be one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one whenever that is. Oh.